Hello,
Hi,
sir. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm amazing, sir. And a lot of questions are coming in. People are super excited. They've seen you as Manu Sharma and Tanu as Manu. They've seen you as Karthik and Alai Payude. And we've seen such versatile performances from you. And I think all of us, we're graced by you being here. And we're so happy that you took out the time to talk to us.
You're very kind, Madhav. Thank you so much.
So I
It's a
think
pleasure to, it's always a pleasure to talk to a sportsman. I'm in great admiration of them, and you're a very accomplished one at that. So, pleasure is entirely mine as well.
thank you so much, sir. Since I've been researching, I've spoken to a lot of swimming friends of mine as well, and they all keep saying that whenever you have the time, you come and watch your son training. Otherwise, his mother's always there by his side, watching him train.
Yes, I think my wife has a much larger contribution to make to my son's achievement as a swimmer than I have. I'm only the guy who cheers.
So I think we all want to know at such a young age where everyone is playing and having fun, you took up a responsibility to improve people's skills through public speaking. Now, today it's a very renowned profession, public speaking. But at that time, was there any awareness of this field?
So yeah, I started this when I was 19, and I had done enough of my playing around and fooling around before that. But a venture like this started simply because there was nobody like that doing it. In Kolhapur, where I was studying, they were very good students. They were technically very good in the subject that they were studying in.
Yes.
But because of their inability to present themselves in terms of how they spoke or how their finishing touches were to every time they present themselves in front of a guy who was
Yeah.
interviewing them,
Yeah.
it became an obstacle in their way. So
Yes.
I started teaching not just public speaking, but interviews and group discussion skills. How to shake hands with a man as opposed to a lady. How do you talk to your
Yeah.
friends? How do you talk to your boss's wife on the phone if she calls, or how do you? So all sorts of telephone etiquettes, dining table etiquettes, formal dancing, all those kind of things became an integral part of the course because I had the good fortune of experiencing these things at a much younger age. And also for me at that age, it was giving me a lot of money. So it was killing two birds with the same stone.
So whatever you were teaching was totally in contrast to your role in Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein.
Yes, absolutely.
But I
Yeah.
think that was one of your most charming performances, and I think people in today's time, you mentioned that they keep messaging you that they watch that film even now, and they're in great admiration of that role.
Yeah, the strange truth is when the film released, it was declared a flop, but posthumously became a cult film. And I think you guys must have been kids when the film released.
Yes.
Yeah, it was in 2001, I think. So it feels very good that that people who are almost two decades younger than I are
Yeah.
able to relate to a story that we did such a long time ago, and it's definitely a shot in the arm, and we now know that we were doing something right.
I think the younger generation has become very smart now. They prefer seeing talent rather than the glamour in the films now. So I think the films that are not very glamorous but have enormous talent, they're coming up quite well, and people are also kind of noticing talent. So I think that's another reason why that film is doing well now.
There is a lot of talent required in every sort of films that we do. I mean, there's a lot of talent required in the dancing abilities, doing comedy and doing the kind of things that used to work brilliantly at one point of time. What changed was that people became smarter because of the social media, because of the awareness, because of Google, and sometimes, apart from admiring somebody's ability to dance and sing and look good, you want them to be aspirational as well. You want them to, you know, uh, enamor you in a manner in which you say, "Wow, I wish I could be like him or her." And I
Yeah.
think that aspect shifted largely from just being of a good physique and look to also what the person was doing on screen, because
Yes.
everybody started going to the gym, everybody started hiring designers for their weddings,
Yeah.
everybody started doing dances in their sangeet, and everybody were looking at Dance India Dance and other programs on television, suddenly realizing those kids and those people who are actually giving the whole song in one single shot without any breaks.
Yeah.
And so I did not dare to challenge their ability to dance with my ability not to dance. So we found avenues where you could become aspirational for your audience. And I think that that shift, a few were able to make very quickly, and yet others fell off the wagon.
Yeah, and I think in today's time, a lot of people are getting to know the importance of army and military. And when I was reading about you, you were not just an NCC cadet, but you were also in the top five in Maharashtra. You were given the opportunity to go to and be trained by the British Army and Navy. So, how did this experience shape you as an individual?
You know, it was a huge influence in my life. I took on the NCC because I bet with my father, who told me that I can never become a senior under officer. He was a
Yeah,
senior under officer in artillery, and he was telling me about the benefits of NCC, and I had a bet for 1 rupee that I could beat him. And not only did I beat him, I became the Maharashtra best cadet and went on
yeah,
to the Republic Day parade, and I got selected as a delegate
wow,
to go to England and for the YP and train with the Army, Navy, and Air Force over there, which was a unique experience.
yeah,
You realize the one of the things that the defense teaches you, I think, is the importance of, despite having differences in person with somebody, you could get into a
yes,
fight with somebody inside the barricade, or you could get into an argument with somebody in the mess, or in the langar, or you could see a completely different background of somebody else. But when you
true,
operated as a unit, when you fought as a
yeah,
unit, as you went out and competed, or for our sake, in the defense of our country, when you went out as a unit, the amount of strength that you gathered, the ability of human beings to absolutely let all these small trivial problems fade away to the background and start and have a platoon of people thinking as a single unit because they want to achieve one single
true,
job, and to be motivated to actually put your life on line for achieving that, is exceptional. Is, I think, only a defense personnel. I'm getting goosebumps even as I talk. But honestly, I think only a defense personnel can understand the euphoria in acting
yes.
one as a group, and that was spectacular. That the ability that you can lead a group of people to their deaths,
Yeah.
believing that they're doing the right thing despite the differences, is, I think, the ultimate sacrifice that can be made by any human being.
And I think in today's time, there are so many distractions. And me as a kid, being from an army background, I've always been brought up in a very military environment with discipline. And plus, I was a sportsman. So, anyway, the discipline was instilled in my upbringing. So, I think that kept me away from all the distractions in my career, sporting career, as well as my school days. And I think if everyone keeps themselves busy in any sporting activity and stays disciplined, I think that in itself kind of teaches them a lot in their life and any field that they go to later.
Manav, there is never an ideal situation, nor is there a normal formula
Yes.
that will tell you. So you might be in control today, and there might be forces that make you go out of control tomorrow. Some of the
Yes.
greatest Olympians have achieved great stuff, gone into drugs, come back again, won the Olympic medal. Okay,
Yeah.
so you don't know what triggers off a crazy thought.
True.
One of the things that really matters under circumstances like this is the environment in which you're brought up.
Yeah.
And I think that largely, more than your school, it actually depends entirely on the family. And as a family, you do your best to provide your kid with the arsenal that he needs to fight the world out there. So be it a kid, be it
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I'm saying, be it the problems involving drugs, be it the problem involving peer pressure, or premature premarital sex, everything. You should have, there should be an atmosphere where the child can come and actually snuggle and say, you know what, I made a mistake. Can you help me get out of this? So that is very, very important. The discipline that is exhibited, and everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Making a mistake, learning from it, and then getting over it is, I think, one of the biggest lessons that life can teach you. The only thing that everybody has to remember is that there is always a way out and there is always a brighter day to come. And you will face problems. Nobody in the world has an ideal life. Nobody. It doesn't matter how much God loves you. He's going to throw challenges at you. So you
Yeah.
have to be prepared to fight those.
True. And a lot of fans are messaging. They want to know a lot of things about you. So I would just request all of them, if you have your parents around you, you could just bring them in, because in a few minutes I would ask Madhavan sir some questions that he will answer for your parents. So until then, I would like to talk about the transition you made from television to the silver screen. Now,
Right.
in today's time, you had already established yourself as a household name with Ghar Jamai and Seahawks, but making that transition is much easier in today's time than it was back then. Uh, and I'm sure, and you made it seem effortless, but I'm sure a lot of hard work went into it. So, how did you make this transition?
The correct answer, the correct answer to that is yes, I was dedicated. I was a lot of hard work. I systematically planned my career, and I was lucky, and I had the blessings of a lot of people, and therefore, I could carve out this path for me. That's the right answer, but that's not the truth.
All right.
The truth is, I didn't care about tomorrow. The truth is that I never actually went to a producer's house to ask for work. I
Yeah.
never thought I'll make a switch. So here's an interesting fact. I never wanted to be an actor in the first place. I was walking down the road, somebody offered me a television series, and I was playing a convict in my first series, and your love stories, and suddenly they started writing that I'm a good actor and I've got a cute smile and stuff like that. Then I got another bigger episode and I got another TV, and every time I was asking them was, how much money are you paying me? That's all. That's all that mattered to me. I didn't. There
Yeah.
were other people who wanted to make it as actors, and other people who wanted to, you know, really make it in the industry. They were going for dance classes and acting classes and fighting classes and all that. And I was just concerned about, am I having fun? Is this making sense to me?
Yeah.
How much money are you paying me? And I think the only thing that I did right, Manav, is that if I got an opportunity, if I got a chance to do something, the whole world faded into the background. That day, that person, that job I was doing was the most important job for me, and I would do it as best as I could. I
Yes.
had my mind open for my day. I had a rule where my day was useless if I
Yeah.
didn't experience something new, or if I didn't make somebody else experience something new,
Yes.
or I didn't meet somebody I wanted to keep in touch with. These were the three things that I looked at. So be it a spot boy, be it a technician,
Yeah.
somebody, I'd just like to find somebody, talk to them and say, hey, you know what? It was great to find somebody, learn something new, or keep in touch with somebody. And one step at a time. So everybody says I make it look effortless because it was effortless. I really
Yeah.
didn't put too much of effort. I still haven't learned acting. In fact, I've never been to an acting school. So even now, if I have to tell you a secret, I go to the set on the first day and I
Yeah.
feel completely naked because I think everybody out there is trying to pass judgment on how much they had admiration for me, and I don't know how much I don't know about acting because it's just so every movie it gets more and more tough. I keep
Yeah.
thinking my assistants are laughing at me, my director is laughing at me. It takes me a little while to get used to being on a
Yeah.
new set.
No, so but when you go to sets now, and like you mentioned, everyone looks at you like a star. So the friends that you made in your initial days, do they come and talk to you like a star or like a friend?
Well, old friends are old friends because of how
Yeah,
they treat you, despite who you are.
yeah,
So I'm in touch with some of them, and they keep accusing me of becoming too busy and like being a big star and stuff like that. But
yeah,
eventually, it's all bullying, and then they come back and they tell me you've never changed. How come you've never managed to change? And I don't think I have not managed to change. I think I have become quite a star in my mind. But I don't feel comfortable there. The truth of the matter is, I need people. I need to, be in touch with people who make me feel like I need to be who I am instead of behaving like a star.
yeah,
So I think one of the complaints that my PR department and the rest of the people have is that, Maddie, you should learn to behave like a star. You should go to the airport and have three people around you to protect you, and you should wear designer clothes, and you should not come on Instagram looking like a bungie like I'm doing right now. But that's me, man. I don't
yeah.
feel comfortable not being who I am.
No, I think it's very important to remember where you come from and to be who you are, because I think even people, they can see through, because the camera never lies. So if you're true to yourself, I think that's what your fans will love you for.
Wise
And
words.
so, but you have entertained people in not one, not two, but seven different languages. So ये आपने कैसे किया?
तो ये एक सच्चाई नहीं है। मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि अफवाहें कैसे फैलती हैं, और आप समझ जाएंगे कि ये एक ट्रिगर फैक्टर कैसे एल्गोरिदम्स इंटरनेट में चलते हैं, कि जो चीजों का कोई महत्व नहीं होता उसको कैसे महत्वपूर्ण बना देते हैं, और ये हमारे दर्शकों के लिए बहुत जरूरी है। मैं 7 लैंग्वेज में पिक्चर नहीं किया हूँ, मैंने सिर्फ हिंदी में किया है, तमिल में किया है, और एक फिल्म तेलुगु में और एक मलयालम में किया है, और वो भी मैं वो भाषाएं ठीक तरीके से बोलना नहीं जानता। मैं ट्राई करता हूँ, बट दैट्स ऑल आई हैव डन। हुआ यूं कि किसी जर्नलिस्ट ने मतलब उन्होंने अपना होमवर्क ठीक तरीके से नहीं किया था। उन्होंने एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में मुझसे पूछ लिया कि मिस्टर माधवन, आप तो मतलब इतना भाषाएं जानते हैं, आप बिहार से हैं, आप कोल्हापुर में रहे हैं, तो मराठी, पंजाबी, सब जगह, तो आपने तो कुछ 7-8 लैंग्वेज में अपने फिल्में की हैं, तो आपको कैसा लगता है? मैंने उनसे कहा कि देखिए, मैंने 7-8 फिल्में नहीं की, आई हैवंट डन फिल्म्स इन 7 लैंग्वेजेस। I know to speak Marathi, Tamil, a little bit of Telugu and Hindi and English, but I haven't done. पर उन्होंने जो सवाल पूछा था उसको क्वेश्चन बना के प्रिंट में डाल दिया कि मैडी, यू हैव डन फिल्म्स इन 7 लैंग्वेजेस, और वो मेरे विकिपीडिया में चढ़ गया। आई डोंट नो व्हाट द एल्गोरिथम डिड कि वो चढ़ गया, और 15 साल से मैं इस सवाल का जवाब दिए जा रहा हूँ कि भाई मैंने 7 लैंग्वेज में फिल्में नहीं की हैं, पर वो एल्गोरिथम जो है वो उसको पकड़ के उसने मेरे मेरे किरदार के साथ, मेरे कैरेक्टर के साथ, मेरे पर्सनालिटी के साथ जोड़ दिया। सो द ट्रूथ ऑफ द मैटर इज,
So I think if there are any technological
आई कांट हियर
geeks
यू, आई कांट हियर
watching,
यू।
yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? So I was saying that if there are any
यस,
technological geeks watching the live right now, I would request them to go and remove that off the Wikipedia, so that so as and ask this question once again.
या,
But in three idiots, you also mentioned that आपने 3 अलग phases में, क्योंकि आप एक जगह जब आप रैंचो से मिलने जा रहे थे, and once when you were a student, आपने अलग tones में बात करी है उसमें. So, and you said that dubbing was very difficult, that whole phase in Three Idiots. So how did you, in each shot, how were you consistent with your voice when you were doing it in different tones?
well, that's a very keen observation. Yeah, because in Three Idiots there was 3 different age groups,
Yes.
no, 2 age groups and 3 different voices, because once I was a student.
Yes.
The other aspect of me was I was an adult when I'm in your late 30s, early 40s, when I'm not a student, and we're looking for Ranchordas. And the third was the narrator, the voiceover
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
So the voices had to be different because I couldn't be in the scene, and people shouldn't get confused ki who's talking,
Yes.
you know. So they shouldn't get confused between the narrator's voice, Maddie's voice when he's 40, and Maddie's voice when he's 27,
Yes.
22. So I use different levels of octave, and I realized that there are techniques in which you can make the baritone change when you speak, and so it depends on which part of the throat you speak from. So this is one aspect I used when I was in college. This is the way I spoke when I was at Farhan in college. This is the
Yes.
way I spoke when I was in when I was trying to get Chatru to tell me where Farhan, where Farhan was. Sorry, I'm saying where Phunsu Gwangdu was, and
Yeah.
this was the narration voice. So
Yeah.
I had to learn to do this consistently. So the dubbing was actually quite a tricky situation.
Yeah. So I had requested all the people watching to bring their parents for this particular question. So in
Mm.
Three Idiots, you had a very important message. You convinced your parents to pursue your passion and make it your career, which was very difficult, but you finally did convince them for your career in photography. So this is actually a problem that a lot of young people face in today's time. They have this conflict with their parents where they want to pursue their passion, but the parents have their own reservations. So how would you convince the parents to let the children pursue their passion?
So I'll give a 3-point answer. The first point that every child must remember: is that every parent is saying this because not that they want to take revenge from you. It's because the parents are hoping that this is the right course of action for you. Their intention is for you to become successful. Their
Yes.
intention is for you to stay happy. And they are coming from a place of their information, in the sense of their conditioning. Anybody who's in the army knows what conditioning means. So when a father has experienced great amount of comfort and success because he was an engineer in Tata Steel, or because he's a businessman and selling garments or whatever it is, he hopes that he's paved the way for his kids to follow that, so that the breaking in process is a challenge that the kids don't have to face. That's the first point. So every kid must understand that the parent is coming from an area of good intention.
Yes.
Second thing is, every parent should understand that the amount of information that they had when they were kids is nothing compared to the kind of information that your kids have at a much earlier age. The exposure that your kids have to the world around them is far, 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 far greater than what the parents had been exposed to when they were young. So the kids have the ability to know the pros and cons of what is happening. They have the ability to understand that. I'll give you an example. If somebody had told me when I was in school that why don't you become a hairdresser, you can make 50,000 bucks a month, I would have
Yeah.
laughed.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, my hairdresser or any hairdresser gets between 7 to 10,000 to 15,000 rupees a day. So if they
Yes.
work for 25 days, they're making more money than any high-end official or any high-end executive in any company,
Yes.
right? So, and they enjoy doing the job and they're good at it, and that's why they're being paid that much.
True.
So the kids are aware that there is something called coding, there is something called gaming, there is something called AI, then all sorts of stuff that they are aware of that they can go and become a part of. And
True.
most important things around it tell the parents is that the jobs that we're doing today will not be relevant tomorrow.
Yes.
In fact, 80% of the jobs that are existing today will be different tomorrow when technology and AI comes in. Okay. And it doesn't mean that the country, I mean, when you say unemployment in the country is going up, it just basically means that the people who want to work are unable to work because they're not trained for the computers that are going to be taking over the jobs that they're doing.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. A doctor can say, hey, I should do 15 cataract operations in a day or 20 cataract operations in a day and make
Yeah.
that kind of money. Okay. And he's an old timer. He knows how to do that. He's a fantastic doctor. There's no
Yeah.
doubt. He's able to do cataract operations like that. Tuck, 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 tuck. It's done. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's able to do 20 in a day and
Yeah.
making money. And then they said, hey, you know what? We don't need to actually cut the eyes open anymore. We'll do laser. So the laser technology comes in, and laser technology comes in, does the same cataract operation in a much shorter time, in a much more easier manner.
Yeah.
So what does that doctor do? Does he learn? Does he say, hey, I'm going to come out of my comfort zone and learn how to operate that laser thing because that still needs a doctor? Or am I
Yeah.
going to continue to do all this and say, oh, sab bakwas hai?
Hmm.
So the kid knows now that I want to get the laser surgery done. I know this is faster. I want to have my lens correction done like that. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you're not ready to maneuver, if you're not ready to manifest yourself according to the changing technology, you're going to be out of a job.
Yeah. True.
And that awareness the kids have. They know how it is changing. They know how to make themselves relevant for day after tomorrow. Which, if the parents understand, this communication between the parents and the child will become much, much easier and smoother when both of them have to first say, let's both understand that we're saying this for my benefit, the kids' benefit.
Yeah.
And so, if you have a clear cut conversation like I had to have in Three Idiots, where you have
Yeah.
to sincerely convince your parents that this is exactly what you want to do. And
Yeah.
any parent who has the goodness of his child at heart, and I'm sure all of them do without
Yeah.
exception, should be able to see their point. And even if they don't, God forbid, at any point of time in an ideal world, they will. But if they don't, it's important for the child to still do what he thinks is right, but be polite about it and loving about it and say, give me 1 year, give me half time, let me prove it. Let me try, let me do this. I can't, it's, you have to communicate in the most respectful, loving manner. And there
Yeah.
is no way that a heart will not agree to that. Sorry, man. I think this is a elaborate answer, but it's best to give
No,
you an
no, I
elaborate
think it
answer.
covers all aspects, and I think the gist of it would be that it's a unified effort between the child and the parents, and communication is the only answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the intent has to be understood.
Yeah. So, do
Mhm.
you have such conversations with your son? And he's doing professionally very well. He won the Asian age group under 14 medal also. And you also keep a track of his sporting life. So, do you ever have conversations about his profession and what he's going to do when he grows up?
So I've been instructed by my son Vedant that every time somebody talks about his medals, to tell that he's just one of the people in the team, and that many other people who are his age and younger than him have won much more medals for the country. So he's thankful for all the attention, but he's not the only one. So I'm supposed to say that, and I'm telling you. So Vedant, I've done my job. Secondly, yeah, I do have these conversations with Vedant. I try to give him the benefit of my experience in terms of the kind of stuff that I've encountered around the world when I have been traveling, and I can only give him the benefit of my experience. I realize there's no point in forcing my experience and his move on him. I've realized there's 3, 4 things that I keep telling him, which is you have to be well mannered. You have to
Yeah.
make sure you respect every individual you meet. You have to look them in the eye, make them feel glad, and because you're a star son and because you are an achiever, everybody want to have some bit of your attention. They should remember it as a nice person, and there's enough animosity in the world, so you must make sure that you spread goodness and niceness if you can. That's something that I can teach him as a parent, and I can. The third thing, do what you want. Yeah, keep exploring. As long as you're learning something,
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm good. I mean, if you're going to spend 6 hours in a day playing Fortnite, I'm not really happy. I'm not really happy, guys. I'd much rather you spend time playing Fortnite for sure, but
Yeah.
you should know how to, do a little bit of research on the internet. Just find out about anything. You want to find out what colonoscopy is, for instance. Do that. Find out. You should know something about it, or you want to know what hydroponic is, or you want to know what different. Just one little video,
Yeah.
just one video. Just see it. There's no exam, but if you're going to learn something new, that is very, very important. So my pressure on Vedant is not on academics, and I really believe that there's a difference between education and academics. And I think that especially something that I want to say now, in terms of the COVID era, for all the parents who are worried about what's going to happen to academics in school, please
Yeah.
remember, it's not really going to matter. It's not going to matter that your children are not going to school right now, because the world will be changed completely. People will be thinking differently, talking differently, behaving differently, and different things are going to become of priority when we emerge on the other side out of this era. So just let your children relax. There's a lot of stress that they're going through too. Children who are supposed to be out playing basketball or running on the streets or patang udana
Yeah.
या गिल्ली डंडा खेलना या फिर जो भी चीजें हम लोग भाग दौड़ के करते थे, वो नहीं कर पा रहे 4 महीने से। और मेरे को नहीं लगता कि आने वाले 4-5 महीने तक ये कर भी पाएंगे
Yeah.
उस स्वतंत्रता के साथ जो हम करते थे। तो
Yeah.
उन पे भी बहुत सारा दबाव हो रहा है। उनको भी कहा जा रहा है कि आप इंटरनेट में पढ़ाई करो और स्क्रीन में, मतलब स्क्रीन के साथ वो जुड़े रहते हैं दिन भर। अभी थैंकफुली समर वेकेशन है तो कम हो गया होगा,
Yeah.
but it's also a lot of stress on them. So it's important for the parents to let them be for a while. I think it's very important to recognize that stress.
And I think lockdown, everyone has a lot of time at the hand, and it's very important to utilize this time. So you gave a very good suggestion that anything informative, see a video on it, or research upon it, and learn something every day. So that would make you quite productive. And so you also mentioned about Vedant. So I could relate with him because I used to always underplay my achievements, and I used to tell dad never to post about it or anything. But one day, an Olympic gold medalist, Peter Wilson, he came up to me, and I had just won the senior national championship. And I was trying to act like it's not a big deal, it's okay, and just run back to my car. So he came and said, brother, you should celebrate. So I said, no, it's okay, just a small medal. So he said, in life, my career is almost going to end now. There are very few incidents where you win and 90% where you lose. If you don't celebrate these incidents, you'll burn yourself out. And the fun of the sport, you'll lose it. So whenever you win, celebrate like a crazy person, and after you're out of that euphoria, get back to training. But it's very important to celebrate it. So I think that's what I would want to tell Vedant, that don't underplay your achievements, just stay humble and celebrate every victory of yours.
Yeah, it's very wise words. In fact, I can't agree more with you. What I was saying is not having to take undue credit. That's all. And so that's what Vedant cringes about. But he celebrates. Oh, he celebrates quite a bit. So, and I know for me also, when a movie becomes a super hit or a super flop, I don't deny myself the effects of that achievement or the disaster on me. So every time if, for instance, the film becomes a blockbuster, I'm out there in my house that one day walking around like a cocky son of a gun, like I'm the best in the world. I'm screaming, I'm having a drink, and I'm like acting like a real, like an idiot, like my wife says. That one day I just let go, do what I have to do, and then I know that I'm going to go to sleep and wake up and be nervous again the next day. Like, what the hell is
Yeah.
going to be the next movie? If the
Yeah.
film is a disaster, which many times it has been, I know the whole day I'm like moaning and I just go to my room and turn the lights off and I just want to sleep and I have bad dreams about how people are really insulting the movie and like, oh,
Yeah.
my career is over and that's it, man. I have nothing more to look forward to. I think I should just retire. Shit like that.
Yeah.
That one day it'll happen. Next morning I'm like, what the hell? I'm better than this. And I'm back to playing the
Yeah.
game. So that's important. I cannot agree more with you. But letting that release happen with
Yeah.
respect to the victories and the failure is very, very important, like you said.
True, true. And I think hunger is very important to achieve. And whenever we go into a competition or we win a competition, after that we force ourselves to stay at home and not go for training. So for about a week, we're fine. We don't miss training. Then we slowly start missing it. But we keep ourselves from going there so that the hunger in the belly kind of fires up, and then we go back in training. So when you have a super hit film, sir, what do you do to keep that fire in your belly intact?
It's a very appropriate question. You take a couple of weeks off, I take a couple of years off. So I mean, like I do, that's why I do, like, I think in Hindi, I've done about 10, 12 films in my life.
Yeah,
So I'm shamelessly taking holidays, but
yeah,
Manav, not because I want to take a holiday. It's because my profession, I need to be on top of the game. I need to know what the world is talking about. I need to know how the youngsters are reacting. What is the latest terminology? How are they behaving in the disco? What is what is accepted? What is not accepted? What is the new normal? All those things you are completely sanitized with if you're in the industry. So on a
yeah,
daily basis, you're only going to meet people from the industry who are going to talk about the same thing because
yeah,
they also don't want to go through the change.
yeah,
The most difficult thing is to embrace that change. So you have to understand that after 2 years, the culture has changed. If I do
yeah,
Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein today, people will laugh at me because it's not, the mobile era has come, social media has come. How can you
yeah,
cut somebody's phone and expect them not to get in touch? How stupid. How can you say that she didn't recognize you even though she knows you as a child? All those questions will start popping up. Okay.
yeah,
So because people who were born after the social media era cannot imagine that you do not
yeah,
know how the person looks when they look young.
yeah,
So for me to understand that Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein worked, but it worked when it was in 2001. The
yeah,
same story, if it has to be told now, it has to be told in a completely different manner. It
yeah,
has to be presented in a different character. So that learning takes, it's called, the growth process. It's very, very difficult. You have to shed that skin of compliance, complacency, and then go into nervousness and realize you're a kid again and learn something new and come back and quickly put it on a movie. So I
yeah,
take years off. I've taken years off to build my body up for Sala Kadus or learn how to be a fighter pilot or how to be an encounter specialist for Vikram Veda or what it means to be a donor and understand how a father will treat him and breathe. So it's a great learning experience. It doesn't mean I'm out of a job.
yeah.
It's just that I'm doing the job,
You're
except not
preparing for
shooting.
it, yeah.
Absolutely, that's part of the job.
Yeah. And you really bulked yourself up for Sala Cruz. So how did you control yourself from eating all the delicious food around you?
I never control myself. I used different methods to put on the way. So I was really big for Sala Kadus. In fact, I had 18 and a half inch biceps at that time and barely bend my. But it had to look like that of a boxer, not of a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
So I had to do it in a manner in which it looked like you could move fast. At the
yeah,
same time, you were looking like you used to be a powerful guy, but not
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
So so it was, when you do a movie, you never want to show off that you have a shiny button.
yeah,
You don't want your physique to be the biggest achievement of the movie.
yeah,
But you don't want to it look like tits on a bull if somebody is saying, hey, as an ex-boxer, but he looks like a Seth here. Like he
yeah,
looks like a Motu, guy. So you had to look the part, but that had to be the subtle part of it. You had to be convincing. That's all there is to it. So it took me, unlike other people, it took me about a year and a half to do that.
Yeah.
So people now are so fit that they do that in 3 months and 4 months, and they look like rock stars.
Yeah.
But I'm a vegetarian, and I wanted to have I wanted to have the body strength as well as the muscles. So
Yes.
if not just the cosmetic buildup, but
Yeah.
I wanted my tendons also to be strong. I wanted my ligaments
Yeah.
to look like a strong guy was doing it,
Yeah.
not a weak guy with big muscles.
True. न- आपके साथ ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि आप किसी किरदार में इतना घुस गए हो कि मूवी की शूटिंग खत्म होने के बाद भी आप उसमें से नहीं निकल पाए, और
हाँ
अगर नहीं
यार,
निकल पाए तो कैसे निकले फिर आप?
मुश्किल है यार वो, मतलब आपको ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने स्विच ऑन कर लिया और स्विच ऑफ कर लिया। तो चाहे वो साला खड़ूस हो, यार आई डिड अ फिल्म कॉल्ड द युवा का तमिल वर्जन व्हिच वाज कॉल्ड आय देयर थे, तो जहाँ पे मैं सांड जैसा ब्रूटल गैंगस्टर था। तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आप उसी की तरह बिहेव करने लगते हो घर पे भी।
या
तो जब मैं ऐसा कोई स्ट्रांग किरदार करता हूँ तो मेरी बीवी दरवाजा खोलती है और पहले बोलती है कि मैडी है क्या? मैडी अंदर आएंगे, किरदार को बाहर रखें। कई बार कही उन्होंने। तो मैं होश में आ जाता कि हाँ यार सॉरी, हाँ बीबी चलो अंदर आता हूँ। सो इट इज टू बी लाइक दैट, बट बाहर आने के लिए थोड़ा वक्त लगता है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू शुड टेक दोस ब्रेक्स। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टेक दोस ब्रेक्स।
So, has it ever happened? Because I've read a lot of interviews of a lot of actors where they've said that it's been so difficult to get out of the role that they've had to adopt techniques like forcibly chilling a lot with their friends to remember their environment from before, or a lot of new techniques. So, is there any particular technique that you adopt?
हाँ यार, आई गो टू प्ले गोल्फ। वो इतना seclusive, it's not a very inclusive game. तो you have
Yeah,
your 4 friends, you're in nature, and
yeah,
आप चाहे कुछ भी कर लो, आपका instincts golf में बाहर आ जाता है। आप उसको रोक नहीं रह सकते, because if you hit a good shot, you're like yeah, and if you hit a bad shot, you want to break the club on your head. So it's a very what do you call releasing sort of an experience, a very exhilarating experience for me. And I
yeah,
played in different parts of the world, or I go skiing.
yeah.
Sports, for instance, any sort of physical sport is a great neutralizer for me.
Yeah. So you've also been a lot into growing plants without soil, and we've also received a lot of questions here. So how did you come up with? I mean, I'm sure it's a very famous technique, but people like me, I did not know about it until I saw it on your profile. So a lot of people like me want to know how it's possible.
So it was one of those surfing. A friend of mine, his name is Subha. He's crazy about nature. He's from New Zealand. His wife is from New Zealand, and he was like, "Oh, plant, trees, everything." So I wasn't exactly like that, like what I am right now. Now I'm crazy about it. But I
Yeah,
still keep wondering कि ऐसा क्या हुआ? पेड़ है यार, पेड़ पेड़ होता है यार, झाड़ झाड़ होता है। ठीक है, मैं मानता हूँ बचाना चाहिए, but he made me fall in love with nature in terms of
yeah,
the plants. And then I'm like a unfortunately my bite is like that of a snake. I पकड़ लिया तो छोड़ूंगा नहीं। तो ऐसा होता है कि I see this video on hydroponics, and he has told me about it. I'm like, now I want to get into it. So with me, I'm always a man of excessives. So if
yeah,
I get into it, I have to get into it till I can't do anything more about it. तो
yeah,
मैं घुस ही गया उसमें, क्या हाइड्रोपोनिक्स होता है, क्या है, न्यूट्रिएंट्स होता है, कैसा है, हाउ डू यू ग्रो प्लांट्स विदाउट सॉइल, व्हाट डू दे नीड, हाउ डू यू चेक द पीएच लेवल, हाउ डू यू ऐड एसिडिटी टू इट, हाउ डू यू न्यूट्रलाइज इट, ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ स्टफ, व्हाट इज
yeah,
जीएमओ सीड्स, हाउ डू यू गेट नॉन जीएमओ सीड्स, वेयर आर द सीड नॉन जीएमओ सीड्स stored, how do you identify that, how
yeah,
so all those studies I did in between my movies again.
yeah,
And then I realized that there's a fantastic way of growing vegetables,
yeah,
organic vegetables, that too, in your own garden in Bombay, or your terrace, and you can provide for yourself for at least half the week with the things you grow. And that too, you should grow things that are seasonal. So you're not growing them in controlled environment. You're growing them outside.
yeah,
So जब भिंडी को उगाना है तभी भिंडी डाल सकते हो,
yeah.
जब ककड़ी आएगा तभी आएगा, जब कद्दू आएगा तभी आएगा। आप कद्दू को गलत सीजन में नहीं उगा सकते।
बिल्कुल।
So if it's a non-GMO seed. So I just want to turn your attention that you're asking me right now, but believe it or not, पिछले 6-7 दिन से मेरे घर पे मतलब करेला का बौछार हो गया है. So this is my bedroom, and can you see the trees outside?
Wow.
That's my bitter
Totally
gourd.
lush green.
Sorry,
It's lush green.
it's lush green because I put a little hydroponic plant over there outside on my window, and
Yeah,
now I'm growing karela and I'm growing tomatoes today, and then the snake gout. That's the season. So it's fantastic, man. I'll
Yeah.
tell you a secret, huh? Even here, sometimes the plants get infected by insects.
Okay.
So you have to use neem and neem extract to put it either
Yeah.
in root feeding, or by spray, whatever.
Yeah.
But the amount of anger you feel when you see this beautiful tomato or papaya that you've grown taken over by fungus or insects, you feel like इसकी तो मैं बैंड बजा दूंगा. You're so angry, and I can realize how a farmer feels when his
Yeah.
entire farm or the entire thing he loses it because of an insect or some storm. It's
Yeah.
quite a devastating feeling. So
Yeah.
I've completely been able to relate to those guys because of the fact that I was growing my own vegetables and seeds,
Yeah.
so
We,
fruits.
we also had a small kitchen garden at home, so I think my mother used to get very angry because my dogs used to go in and destroy all the crops.
Yeah,
So she had to build a small cage around it to protect the
yeah.
plants.
And you get really angry. You just start wondering, what the hell is wrong with you? Can't you see it? The dog doesn't understand what he's done wrong. He's like, what? मैं
Yeah.
तो जाके naturally जो करता हूँ वही किया मैंने. Yeah, but it's a very great way to grow a great way to grow
Yeah.
vegetables at home, and
Yeah.
it's a proper technique, and you can actually buy all the stuff you require online if you want to.
Yeah, yeah. And a
Yeah,
lot of people also say that growing plants at home and eating them is very different from eating plants that you buy from outside, because they said food has a memory. So the person cooking the food, the person growing the crop, it all comes down to the food when you're eating it. So I think, do you ever feel that difference when you're eating?
I think the philosophy behind that is flawed a little bit, but the fact that it does taste different is for sure there. For
Yeah,
example, when I have the papayas out of the plants that I've grown in my balcony,
yeah,
I realized, much to my amusement, that I buy a papaya that looks beautiful from the
yeah,
from the store. It looks like, oh, it's fabulous, right? But when you put it in your mouth and you start tasting it, for the first 2 seconds you feel the flavor.
yeah,
But after two bites, it just becomes warm water. There is no flavor left in any of these GMO stuff. So they look good, look great.
yeah,
There's no insect. But the ones that are grown naturally, the papaya that you grow, every bite till you've swallowed it, you can feel the flavor. You feel
yeah,
it brings out the child, childlike feeling in you, because that's how the papaya tasted when you were a child. It was completely
yeah.
organic. You used to just pluck it out of the मतलब अमरूद तो हम पेड़ से तोड़ के काट लेते थे और पेड़ से
बिल्कुल,
खाते थे, मतलब ना
बिल्कुल.
धोया ना कुछ किया, ऐसे ही खा लिया, कोई कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ा. But now they're all looking big and great and wonderful. Ab to I'll tell you what I miss the most, Manav. I miss
Yeah,
the desi bhutta, yaar. When we were kids, बारिश के मौसम में देसी भुट्टा में, not this American bloody corn, देसी
हाँ,
भुट्टा
बिल्कुल.
यार, वो मतलब उसके अंदर में जो वो था ना, वो अलग अलग कण होते थे, पर्पल
हाँ,
कभी ग्रीन वगैरह. एंड
हाँ.
इट वाज नॉट लुकिंग अ परफेक्ट गोल्डन थिंग, व्हाइट
Yeah,
का हुआ करता था.
yeah,
वो गायब ही हो गया, जीएमओ की वजह से साला वो गायब ही हो गया. So, and then when you have that bhutta, I feel a joy like I used to feel like when I used to eat it as a kid. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, there is definitely a taste difference. Definitely a taste difference between the stuff that is grown organically and the ones that are, procured in mass production.
Yeah. So your film Rocketry is releasing this year, and it is not just a film that is not just a film that is close to your heart, but also your first debut as a director.
Hmm.
So, what are the challenges that you face that otherwise, as an actor, you would have never known that these problems exist?
So, Manav, these questions I want to answer closer to the release of my movie. Right now, only God knows when it's going to release. And I hope he tells me, because the theaters are closed and we're looking for normalcy. But
Yeah.
these questions, I'd like to be relevant at the time when I'm doing the movie. There were
Okay.
enough and more challenges and enough and more learnings. But I
Okay.
think it's best for the sake of the movie that I talk about it when it's going to get released.
Yeah. But we're all looking forward to it, and we saw a glimpse of the trailer, and I actually went on to read about the person that it was built upon, and I never knew about this, so I'm sure we're going to get to learn a lot of things seeing the movie, and we're all looking forward.
Hey,
So I'll
thanks.
actually I want to show you a picture. It's
Sure.
an old picture of yours. Not many people know that this was a hobby of yours. I would want you to tell me a little about this picture. I'll try this one.
Right. Yeah, so like I said, I am a jack of a lot of trades, and one of the I have varied interests. So can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yeah, so this is my RC flying days. It was in Chennai, where you assemble,
Yeah.
aircrafts, and I'm very, very interested in flying and engineering, especially
Yeah.
aerospace.
Yeah.
So we used to build our own aircrafts, put in the engine, prime up the engine, start it,
Yeah.
and then try to fly the plane.
Yeah.
And then it was a whole new challenge trying to fly different sorts of planes. We used to
Yeah.
have turbine planes as well, with jet engines. And then,
Yeah.
of course, this used to be one of the most obsessive hobbies that I ever had. So
Yeah.
Sundays was, one of these beautiful days. You'll go out of the fields and fly a plane. I remember one of the first things I did was put a remote camera on the cockpit, outside the
Yeah.
cockpit of the plane, and wear my the 3D glasses and look at it. I used to feel like a bird because the plane was transmitting live. I did this in 2000 with my friend Arvind. I did
Yeah.
this in 2006, 2007. Yeah, I mean, we were way ahead of our times. Then we wanted to
Yeah.
put cameras on it to shoot aerial shots and stuff. We started this much earlier, 2002, 2003. We were doing this. Of course,
Yeah.
then the drones came and killed us. But it used to be a great, great hobby. Yeah. Great
But
times.
do you still take out time to go and fly, or you don't get the time with your schedule?
No, now I've graduated to rockets.
So
Yeah.
it was really nice interacting with you. We got to learn a lot of things, and I'm
Ah,
sure there are a lot of points that we'll take back home. Not just me, but a lot of people who are watching here.
thank
And
you.
and you took out the time, and you were so spontaneous and fun. And I'm totally, utterly grateful to you. And it was lovely having you here on the show.
You're very kind, Manav. It was lovely talking to you, and especially a sportsman of your caliber. On behalf of everybody who's watching this, I'm sure they're all waiting and hooting for you to become a big success and make us proud. So I wish you all the very best. Get us extraordinary medals for India.